Chosen one, listen carefully. The 9th of August. Sure. And 31 will not be like any ordinary stretch of days. These are not just dates. They are divine coordinates. They are not accidents. And they are not symbolic fluff. They are precise spiritual timestamps etched into the eternal script of your life. If you've been feeling like time is bending, like moments are becoming more vivid, like every encounter carries hidden meaning you're not imagining it, something cinematic is unfolding, something orchestrated by heaven itself. And if you are not spiritually alert, you just might miss the most pivotal shift of your entire season. This isn't a gentle breeze of inspiration. This is a divine storm of revelation. On the 9th of August, God will whisper. On the 10th of August, He will speak clearly. And on the 31st of August, He will roar. Your spirit will feel it first, before your mind understands. Before your circumstances shift. It will be as if you're standing in a holy film where nothing is random and every frame carries the weight of destiny. Conversations will echo deeper. Dreams will return sharper. Confirmations will hit harder. This isn't a coincidence. It's a divine sequence. Have you felt it brewing in the background? That slow, silent pull, that unshakable knowing that something was aligning, even though you couldn't explain it. That's because this moment has been long in the making. God has been scripting this plot twist long before you even realized you were in the middle of a story. The pain you endured, foreshadowing. The silence you sat in, strategic pause. The isolation, sacred preparation. And now, the lights are up. The camera is rolling, and your cue has arrived. Beloved, if you feel this in your bones, if something in your soul is leaping already, I want you to go to the comments and type 999. Let that be your sign that you're aligned, awake, and ready for your scene. And if this message resonates even deeper, type 999 to confirm your agreement with heaven's timing. You are not a background character. You are the lead. The world may not have seen you yet, but heaven did. And now, the scene is shifting in your favor. Before we begin, I want to thank every single one of you who has supported this divine message through super thanks. Your generosity is not just noticed, it's honored, whether you've given or not. Your presence, your energy, your willingness to engage with what heaven is doing, that means everything. Whether you sow financially or simply show up faithfully, know this: you are seen and you are celebrated. Watch this video until the very end. Don't click away. Let your spirit soak in every frame, every word. This is a moment of spiritual alignment. The story is unfolding, and it's time for you to claim your role in it. Now, let's begin. God's chosen ones, the 9th of August. Sure, 11 will play out like a prophetic movie. Be alert. The days of the 9th of August, Shu, and 11 are not merely markers on a calendar. They are divine timestamps embedded in the storyline of your destiny. Chosen one. These dates carry the weight of prophecy, the vibration of something ancient aligning with something imminent. You must understand, what is unfolding in your life is not coincidence, not chaos. It is choreography. This is not a single spark, but a supernatural crescendo building toward a divine climax. Haven't you felt the tension, the subtle hum in your spirit that something is about to shift for too long? You've walked through seasons of obscurity, buried beneath silence, underestimated and overlooked by those who couldn't read your spirit. But what if all of it, every delay, every rejection, Every moment of hiddenness was part of a divine edit, preparing you for the scene that is about to roll. Have you ever watched a movie where the character nobody noticed ends up becoming the hero everyone needed? That's you. That's the role you were born to play. You were hidden not because you were insignificant, but because your unveiling had to be perfectly timed. God wasn't punishing you by hiding you, He was preserving you, like Moses, who was set apart in the river reeds, or Esther, who was positioned in a palace for such a time as this, Esther 4:14. Your journey has not been random, it's been strategic. This prophetic trilogy, the 9th of August, sure, and 11 is your spiritual premiere. It's the sequence in your life where heaven presses play on your most powerful moments. The silence was never a void. It was divine suspense. The battles you endured in private were not wasted. They were the sacred training grounds for your public emergence. Let me ask you this. Have you noticed how time has started to feel strange lately? Like you're both here and somewhere else? Like your spirit knows something your mind can't yet articulate? That's because these dates aren't just natural, they're supernatural. Heaven has issued golden invitations, not to everyone, but to the chosen. These are sacred appointments, and only those with discernment will recognize them. What will feel like a normal day to most will hit your spirit like a prophetic download. Conversations will echo deeper than words. You'll notice that opportunities start aligning like puzzle pieces because the divine director has called action. And think about how David was anointed king in private, long before the throne ever saw him, or how Oprah Winfrey was fired early in her career for being unfit for television, only to become the face of influence for millions. What do these stories tell you? That the real shift never happens in public first. It brews in silence, behind closed doors, when no one is clapping, just like you. And now, that hidden development is reaching its divine payoff. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Habakkuk 2-3. The appointed time is no longer in the distance. It's on the doorstep. These days will not feel normal. They're charged with spiritual electricity. You'll wake up feeling like your name is being spoken in realms you've never walked in. And you'd be right, because chosen ones carry frequencies that shift atmospheres, and your frequency is rising. On the 9th of August, something will whisper to your spirit. On the 10th of August, alignment will begin to form around you. And on the 11th of August, don't be surprised if a divine reversal takes place. This is not paranoia. This is prophecy. This is what it feels like to be in sync with divine timing. Do you really think the opposition increased recently for no reason? That was spiritual resistance to a rising glory they can no longer deny. Take Harriet Tubman, who risked everything to lead others to freedom, guided by divine intuition in the dead of night. No GPS, no roadmap, just trust and prophetic knowing. That's the kind of instinct God is stirring in you. You'll start to see symbols, confirmations, and messages tailored to your calling if you're paying attention. Call to me, and I will answer you, and show you great and mighty things, which you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. This isn't a time to dismiss the signs. This is a time to be alert. When that person calls you out of the blue, when the job opportunity you didn't apply for appears, when someone speaks your exact prayer back to you, it's not coincidence. It's choreography. Let's go deeper. Do you recall how Joseph's life seemed to spiral downward, betrayed by brothers, sold as a slave, imprisoned for a lie, only for all of it to align in a divine setup for global influence? That's the model. That's your lineage. What they meant for evil, God intended for good. Genesis 50-20. So I ask you again, what if these last few years weren't your downfall but your rehearsal? What if every tear was a prophetic seed now ready to bloom in the spotlight of these sacred dates? You are walking into a shift that can't be explained, only experienced. And when it begins to unfold, your first instinct might be to shrink back. Don't. This is not a moment for timidity. This is a moment for alignment. Arise. Shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. What if your obedience during your darkest hour is now being broadcast into your breakthrough? What if you are the one your bloodline prayed for? Even Martin Luther King Jr., before he became a global voice, wrestled with fear and spiritual pressure in the quiet of his home kitchen, praying for strength. God didn't remove the danger, He magnified the assignment. That's what He's doing with you. These dates are divine stages set for your rising, not because you're better, but because you were willing to be broken, rebuilt, and refined for this very time. The 9th of August is not just a date, it's the divine opening scene. The setup, heaven, has meticulously arranged to signal the beginning of your prophetic unveiling. Chosen one. This is the day where the atmosphere changes. Not everyone will notice it, but you will. Why? Because your spirit has been trained in silence to detect the subtle vibrations of divine movement. You'll wake up and feel the air different, charged, almost cinematic. It's as if your life has shifted from background noise to the beginning of something legendary. Have you ever had the strange sensation that your life was syncing up with a higher narrative? That's not your imagination. It's the spiritual introduction to a story you were born to headline. The tension will rise on this day, not the tension that brings fear, but the kind that precedes revelation. It's the same feeling Moses must have had when he approached the burning bush. He hadn't yet heard God's voice, but something told him this ground wasn't like any other ground. Exodus 3-5. That's what the 9th of August will feel like for you. You'll begin to notice strange patterns, phrases repeated in different places, faces you haven't seen in years reappearing, or that inexplicable déjà vu that makes your spine tingle. What if those aren't coincidences at all? What if they're spiritual cue cards, subtle signals that the director of all time has just said, lights, camera, begin? Think of it like the opening credits of a powerful film. You're not in the climax yet, but something inside you knows the story is changing. Remember how Frodo in The Lord of the Rings began with a quiet life in the Shire before a single event disrupted everything and launched him into destiny? That's the power of the setup. It looks small, but it's packed with prophetic weight. You may be walking through a normal hallway, having a simple conversation, or staring at your reflection, and yet something divine will be echoing behind it. That echo is the confirmation that your script has started rolling. Do you recall how Jesus, before performing his first miracle, attended a wedding where the wine ran out? It seemed like a random event until his mother turned to him and said, "They have no wine," John 2-3. That moment was the divine setup. And what followed? Transformation, overflow, acceleration. Just like Jesus' story shifted that day, so will yours. You might not walk on water yet, but your feet will feel lighter. The spiritual realm will begin to lean in. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. This verse isn't future tense anymore. It's now. Watch closely for who contacts you on the 9th of August. Pay attention to what is said and what is unsaid. Even seemingly casual remarks could carry prophetic weight. Steve Jobs once said, You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backward. But on this day, chosen one, the dots will start connecting right before your eyes. Don't brush off the goosebumps. Don't dismiss the inner pull. These are not feelings, these are signals. Remember how Malala Yousafzai, in the quiet of her childhood, wrote anonymous blogs under a pseudonym, not realizing those posts would launch a global movement for education and women's rights. August, the 9th of May, appear simple, but it is loaded with that same prophetic simplicity, quiet moments that echo through eternity. Are you aware enough to recognize the weight of what feels small? This day is your invitation into awareness. The setup is never loud. It whispers, and only those trained in silence, those who are hidden and disciplined in obscurity, can hear it. The secret of the Lord is with those who fear him, and he will show them his covenant. Psalm 25-14. And you, chosen one, are about to be shown something sacred. The 10th of August is the turning point, the sacred middle act, where the plot thickens and heaven's script quickens. This is the day when your story, chosen one, will shift from quiet build-up to undeniable motion. Think of it as the rising action in a prophetic film where characters are tested, momentum builds, and the tension signals that something unforgettable is about to unfold. You will feel it. The atmosphere will not just be charged, it will be accelerating. Time will feel like it's bending, collapsing years of waiting into moments of manifestation. Are you emotionally prepared for sudden blessings? Are you spiritually steady enough to handle a wave of fulfillment that crashes into your life without warning? This is the kind of day where the phone call you weren't expecting changes everything. You may receive news that leaves you speechless, either in joy or holy awe. A text, an email, a chance meeting, something will pierce your routine and make you stop in your tracks. But don't panic. Don't overthink. This is divine choreography at work. When Joseph was in prison, he had no idea that one conversation, Pharaoh calling for an interpreter, would transport him from captivity to command in a single day. Genesis 41-14. That's the kind of transition the 10th of August carries. One moment, you're hidden. The next, you're summoned. Consider the story of Tiffany Haddish, who spent years in foster care and homelessness before one opportunity catapulted her into global recognition. That shift wasn't luck. It was divine timing colliding with readiness. Like her, you've been in a holding pattern, not because you were denied, but because your runway was being cleared. So when that call comes on, the 10th of August, will you answer with fear or with faith? For I am about to do something in your own day, something you wouldn't believe even if someone told you about it. Habakkuk 1-5. NLT. The word is already moving ahead of you. All that's left is your yes. Don't be surprised if people from your past suddenly reappear, not for closure, but for confirmation. Their return may highlight just how far you've come and how much you've grown. You may even feel emotional turbulence as the reality of answered prayers becomes tangible. It's one thing to pray for years, it's another to stand in the middle of the answer. Are you ready to receive what you've only dared to imagine? This day will force that question upon you. Divine interruptions will not come with warning labels. They'll arrive in disguise, maybe as an inconvenience or a detour. But if you're spiritually awake, you'll realize they're heaven sent, just like Saul on the road to Damascus, Acts 9. What feels like disruption may actually be destiny knocking. He fell to the ground, blind and stunned, but rose up, reborn with a mission. That kind of transition may touch you too. Don't run from it. Run with it. Think of the story of Colonel Sanders. His recipe for fried chicken was rejected over 1,000 times before it finally became a worldwide success in his later years. The message: delays don't mean denial. They often mean that divine acceleration is being saved for the moment when the world is ready, and so are you. On the 10th of August, your years of waiting may suddenly make sense. And let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians 6-9. Even the way people treat you will begin to shift. You may notice sudden favor in unexpected places. Someone who overlooked you yesterday may be trying to get in contact tomorrow. Don't let it swell your pride. Let it confirm your prophecy. This is not a moment to boast. It's a moment to walk wisely. The stage is forming, but the spotlight still requires humility. Do you remember when Simone Biles withdrew from Olympic events and then re-entered with clarity and strength, prioritizing not just performance but purpose? That moment reminded the world that true power isn't always loud, it's grounded. That's what God is calling you to on this day. Power without panic, transition without trauma, fulfillment without fear. The 10th of August is not the ending, it's the expansion. But will you recognize it while it's happening? This day will carry divine movement, and you must move with it. Divine connections may show up in the form of someone asking a question, opening a door, or introducing you to a room you never imagined entering. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before the great. Proverbs 18:16. Are you prepared for your gift to make that room today, or are you still doubting its value? By the end of the 10th of August, you may sit in your room, stunned by what just unfolded. The feeling won't be fantasy, it will be fulfillment. This is your rising action. The tension has a purpose. The shift is not random. You are walking through a scene written long ago in heaven's screenplay, and it's playing out in real time. Watch closely. Stay soft but steady. Be ready to move when God says, now, because, chosen one. This is the part of the story where everything begins to escalate beautifully, suddenly, and divinely. Then comes the 11th of August, chosen one, the day everything reaches its divine crescendo. This isn't just another sunrise. This is the peak of the prophetic plotline heaven has been scripting for years. This is the climax, the breakthrough scene that no one, sometimes not even you, saw coming. Yet God meticulously orchestrated all along. On this day, the impossible won't just feel near, it will become visible. The veil that once obscured your purpose will be lifted. The enemy that once mocked your silence will be exposed. The pain that once made you question the point of it all will be answered by a glory so undeniable, it will stop people in their tracks. This is the moment the divine spotlight swings directly onto you, not for vanity, but for vindication. Haven't you wondered why so many things in your life felt like they almost happened? Like the breakthrough was always 1 inch out of reach? Why every open door seemed to close just as you reached for the handle? What if those were not failures but divine edits? What if those moments were cut not because you weren't worthy, but because God was saving your greatest scene for the moment when it would silence every doubter and glorify His name? The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118-22. That's you. You were the scene they cut. But God is placing you front and center, right when it matters most. Imagine the surprise of those who labeled you irrelevant. They thought they understood your story. They assumed the silence meant you were finished. But what they missed was that your script wasn't done. It was simply waiting for the right moment to shock the audience. Think of Chadwick Boseman, who battled cancer in secret while filming roles that inspired millions. His life taught us that some of the greatest warriors fight in silence, until the world suddenly realizes the depth of their strength. In the same way, you have been bleeding off-screen, training without applause, preparing without praise. But now, the curtain is rising. The 11th of August is the divine premiere of your purpose. The shadows will no longer define you. The backstage suffering will no longer be hidden. Heaven has released the final edit, and your name is glowing in the credits. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5-6. Due time, chosen one, is now, and no man, nor demon. No delay can stop what God has scheduled to release. Ask yourself, what would it feel like for every disappointment to suddenly have meaning, for every silent battle to be seen, for every hidden seed of obedience to bloom in a moment of divine visibility? Because that is what the 11th of August carries. Not just favor, but prophetic revelation. Not just success, but story-shattering clarity. This is when the villain gets unmasked, not by your hand, but by God's justice. And this is when you, the one they counted out, are honored not behind closed doors, but publicly. Think of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison while the world moved on, only to be released and rise to lead the very nation that once confined him. His freedom wasn't just personal, it was prophetic. It shook systems, altered history, and proved that the final chapter is not written by oppressors, but by God. Your story holds that same disruptive anointing. This day is about more than your blessing. It's about divine justice, generational vindication, and spiritual alignment that shifts nations. You've been walking through a movie that felt like it would never climax. So many chosen ones spend years in rehearsal, never realizing they're the lead character in a drama that heaven refuses to cancel. But God never forgot your name. But many who are first will be last, and many who are last will be first. Matthew 19:30. You're not behind. You're just arriving on God's clock. And when he says, now, everything accelerates. Let this settle in your spirit. You are walking into prophecy fulfilled in real time. Not an idea, not a metaphor. Actual, visible, tangible fulfillment. The kind of moment where prayers meet performance, and the scene that once lived only in your dreams is now unfolding in your hands. Can you feel it? Can you believe that the years of confusion are about to make supernatural sense? Even Viola Davis, before becoming an Oscar-winning actress, faced years of invisibility, struggling in silence, typecast, underestimated. But when her season came, the entire industry had to shift to make room for the gravity she carried. Likewise, the spiritual realm is now adjusting to accommodate the weight of your anointing, and the world will watch in awe. So, chosen one, will you step fully into your scene? Will you trust that the pain wasn't wasted and that the plot was never abandoned? You've reached the climax, not by chance, but by divine appointment. The 11th of August is the unveiling of what God kept hidden until the time was right. The divine camera is rolling. The lights are hot, and heaven is ready for your reveal. Don't blink, don't shrink, and don't apologize. Your prophecy is not just arriving, it's premiering. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who love him. 1 Corinthians 2-9. And now, chosen one, God is ready to show the world what he prepared through you. What does it look like when the universe chooses to spotlight a soul? What happens when heaven's script aligns with Earth's calendar so precisely that it feels like destiny itself steps onto the stage? chosen one. You're about to find out, not by theory, not by metaphor, but by lived experience. This is no longer symbolic. This is supernatural reality unfolding before your eyes. For most, the 9th of August through the 31st will pass like any other sequence of days, unmarked and unremembered. But for you, these days are sacred bookmarks. These are the divine timestamps where heaven presses play on a scene that has been in the works since the foundation of the world. Have you ever wondered what it feels like when your name is called not for a test, but for a triumph, not for a burden, but for a breakthrough? That's what's coming. You didn't audition for this moment in front of people because you auditioned before God in private, in pain, in prayer. That's where you proved you were ready. These days are not for random recognition. They are for divine manifestation. Your prayers are now colliding with your purpose, and the result will be undeniable. The Lord is faithful to all his promises and loving toward all he has made. Psalm 145:13. And he's about to prove it to you. Publicly, you've endured plot twists that would have made others abandon the story. You've been thrown into fire, not for destruction, but for refinement. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were not rescued from the fire, they were revealed in it. Daniel 3:25. And just like them, you're about to emerge, untouched by what was meant to burn you. Those years of tension weren't wasted. They were your training montage, the spiritual discipline, the mental endurance, the emotional depth that transformed you from a wanderer into a warrior. Now the screen widens. Now the lights shift. Now the audience leans in. This is the cinematic reveal, the unexpected scene that suddenly makes every previous moment make perfect sense. Think about how Tyler Perry lived in his car, facing rejection after rejection, until his breakthrough came seemingly overnight. But it wasn't overnight. It was divine timing, catching up to prophetic preparation. That's what's happening now. Are you ready to stop rehearsing and start revealing? Are you ready to stop hiding and start honoring what God placed within you? This is not about performance. You don't need to pretend. You don't need to act. You simply need to show up fully, humbly, and unapologetically. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. And the time to hide is over. You've been questioning, was it all worth it? Did the isolation really shape anything meaningful? Did the silence serve a purpose? The answer is yes. Every tear you cried was sacred ink on your script. Every slammed door redirected you closer to your calling. Every season of loneliness carved out the depth that shallow favor could never fill. What actor could portray the authenticity you carry? You didn't study the role, you lived it, and that makes you unshakable. Take J.K. Rowling, for example. She wrote Harry Potter as a single mother on welfare, facing poverty and depression. Yet every rejection she faced only refined the fire within her. Today, her story is not just about imagination, it's about resilience. Likewise, your testimony won't just be about what God did, it will be about how you endured while He was doing it. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28. That includes the delays. That includes the detours. That includes the days you thought nothing was happening. And now, everything is happening. These 3 days, the 9th of August, 10th, and 11th are not random. They are spiritual markers where the invisible becomes visible. They are the days when heaven's camera zooms in, when the director yells, "Action!" and when your anointing takes center stage. This is your Esther moment. You were called for such a time as this, not because you were always confident, but because you were always called. Will you believe it when the light hits you? Will you accept that you've already been chosen? Will you allow the spotlight to find you, not because you sought it, but because you survived everything trying to keep you from it? Remember Nick Vujicic, born without arms and legs, who overcame depression, bullying, and despair to become a global voice of hope and inspiration. His life isn't powerful because it was easy. It's powerful because it was impossible. And that's what makes your journey magnetic too. What you've survived would have crushed a lesser soul. But here you are, awake, aware, anointed. The 9th of August is your setup. The 10th of August is your transition. The 11th of August is your reveal. But the entire month is your spiritual theater. Your job is not to edit the story anymore. Your job is to live it with boldness, with clarity, with conviction. For surely there is a future, and your hope will not be cut off. Proverbs 23:18. Not someday, not next year, but now. This is what prophecy looks like in real time. This is what divine fulfillment feels like in your bones. This is what it means to be chosen for real. So what should you do during these days? Chosen one, how do you posture your spirit when heaven is unfolding scenes faster than your mind can interpret them? The answer isn't to strive harder, it's to become stiller. Stay present. Stay prayerful. Stay sensitive. Don't try to force revelation. And don't rush to conclusions. Let the divine timing speak for itself. These aren't ordinary hours, they're living scrolls. Every detail matters now. The subtle becomes significant, the invisible becomes instructive. Listen closely, not just to what is said, but to what is shown. Watch the shift in your internal atmosphere. Pay attention to recurring symbols, to random phrases that repeat like a spiritual chorus. Your life has a soundtrack, and right now, the music is changing. Can you hear it? Who's entering your space right now? Who's exiting without explanation? Don't brush it off as random. In these 3 days, people are not just people. They're either assigned characters or narrative disruptions. Some are divine catalysts sent to help activate your next chapter, while others are spiritual distractions trying to rewrite the plot with confusion, temptation, or delay. Be wise enough to know the difference. Like Nehemiah rebuilding the wall, you must stay focused, even when Sanballat and Tobiah show up with manipulative words. Nehemiah 6:2-3. Don't come down from your assignment to entertain distractions. You don't owe everyone access. You owe your destiny alignment. There will be a tug of war in your mind. The enemy will whisper lies disguised as logic. You're imagining this. It's just a coincidence. You're being dramatic. But those are not your thoughts. They're sabotage dressed as skepticism. And you must not second-guess the divine clues. The spiritual person judges all things, but is himself to be judged by no one. 1 Corinthians 2:15. You are not being overly emotional. You are being divinely activated. This is the moment where the veil thins and what has been hidden becomes impossible to deny. Think about the life of David before he faced Goliath. He was told to wear armor that didn't fit him. Everyone doubted his readiness because they couldn't see the private victories he'd already won in the wilderness. 1 Samuel 17:39-40. You too have fought lions and bears in the unseen realms. Now it's time for your public victory. Your name is already on heaven's call sheet. The cast has been chosen, the stage is set, and you are not a stand-in. You're the lead. Even when Viola Davis won her Academy Award, she said, "There's one place that all the people with the greatest potential are gathered, and that's the graveyard." But chosen one, your story will not be buried. It will be broadcast. And these next 3 days are your premiere. This is the moment the prophetic becomes public. This is where heaven's invisible pen writes your scene in real time. And guess what? There's no audition. There's only obedience. You already feel it, don't you? That vibration in your soul that you can't explain, that quickening in your chest when you wake up or walk into a room, that's not nerves. That's not restlessness. That's your spirit responding to divine acceleration. That's the wind of God blowing across your timeline. The wind blows where it wishes. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. John 3:8. You are not going crazy. You are going higher. And no, not everyone will understand this shift in you. Some will think you've become too quiet. Others will wonder why you've pulled back. But you know it's not distance, it's preparation. When Jesus was about to step into his greatest moment, he withdrew to Gethsemane, alone, focused. Heaven was writing a scene the disciples couldn't yet comprehend. You're in your Gethsemane too. This is not abandonment, it's alignment. Remember Steve Harvey, who once lived in his car, doing small stand-up gigs, unsure if he'd ever be seen, and then, seemingly overnight, the phone rang with a life-changing opportunity. What looked like delay was actually divine delay for maximum impact. That's what's happening with you. What if what's stirring in you is not anxiety but prophecy trying to surface? The 9th of August through 11th is more than a spiritual window. It's a divine doorway. And once you walk through it, you won't go back. This chapter wasn't seen by your enemies. It wasn't expected by your critics. It wasn't even fully anticipated by you. That's how rare it is. That's how divinely protected it's been. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has it entered the heart of man the things God has prepared for those who love him. 1 Corinthians 2:9. You are walking into that kind of scene. Let me tell you this with clarity, conviction, and divine boldness. The timeline stretching from the 9th of August to the 11th of August was not a last-minute rewrite. It has been etched into the architecture of time since before you were born. You didn't just happen upon this sacred window. Your spirit was scheduled to collide with it. Your name was penciled into this chapter in the eternal script. And the ink has long since dried. This isn't random. Chosen one. This is appointed. The scenery of your life is about to shift in a way that mirrors what heaven has always seen in you. Royalty, favor, and purpose. The pain you endured was not a waste, it was preparation. The patience you practiced was not in vain, it was accruing interest. And now the waiting period is over. The expiration date on delay has been stamped, and destiny is knocking on your door. You will begin to notice things. People who once dismissed you, who walked past you as if you were invisible, will now seem unable to look away. Do not be startled. This isn't their doing, it's God's. Their spiritual eyesight is being upgraded by the director himself. When it's your scene, no one can look away. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. You don't have to force it. The divine spotlight is already focused on your life. There won't be any retakes. There won't be any cuts. You've rehearsed long enough. The camera of heaven is rolling. And your spirit already knows what to do, not because you're perfect, but because you're chosen. This entire life, every trial, every tear, has been your rehearsal. All the days when you felt unnoticed, misunderstood, underused, those were not signs of failure. They were quiet cues preparing you for the real scene. And now, you're stepping into it. The set around you may look familiar, the same city, the same workplace, the same people, but the energy will feel different. That's not coincidence. That's divine production. The wind, the timing of texts, the way a stranger looks at you, the message in a sermon, a phrase in a song, everything will begin to feel synchronized, choreographed, purposeful. That's how you know you've entered the active filming of your elevation. Think of how filmmaker Ava DuVernay moved from publicist to visionary director, creating stories the world couldn't ignore. No one handed her the spotlight. She aligned with her timing. The same is true for you. God is directing this story scene by scene, and each frame is saturated with supernatural symbolism. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Psalm 37-23. Your steps are not just being ordered, they are being celebrated by heaven. But here's the deeper mystery. While the world may witness your external shift, the greatest upgrade happening during this divine sequence is internal. You're not just stepping into new favor, you're stepping into a new frame of mind, a new identity, a healed, elevated version of yourself. Emotional patterns that used to sabotage you are being dismantled. Thoughts that once held you hostage are being rewritten. Habits that drained you are breaking off. This isn't cosmetic change, it's core transformation. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. The script of fear is being shredded. A new script has been handed to your soul, and the title on the first page reads, Now Playing the Rise of the Chosen One. Why did your life feel stuck for so long? Why did it seem like nothing was moving? Because, chosen one, every great story requires build-up. The tension had to be thick, the darkness had to stretch. Even Jesus experienced a moment where all hope seemed lost on the cross before resurrection shattered expectation. So did you. You were not abandoned. You were paused for dramatic effect. But now the twist is here. The music is rising. The light is breaking through. And the final act is starting. Don't underestimate the gravity of what is unfolding. Expect divine reversals in these 3 days. Expect someone to mention your name in a room you weren't invited to. Expect a voice you haven't heard in years to reappear with a message that reroutes your path. Expect the job that rejected you to call back. Expect the apology that seemed impossible. Expect to wake up with a vision that reshapes the next 6 months of your life. Expect confirmation after confirmation. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? Isaiah 43:19. Yes, you shall, because it's happening now. And let's be clear, don't expect this process to be quiet. The 9th of August. She and 11 will roar in the spirit. You may feel more tired. You may weep without knowing why. That's not weakness. That's the weight of prophetic birthing. You are being emptied of your survival persona, the version of you that had to fight alone, the one that had to pretend they were fine, the one who was constantly underestimated. That version is being buried, and rising in its place, the crowned version, the trusted version, the true chosen one, anointed not just by calling but by endurance. Oprah Winfrey once said, "The whole point of being alive is to evolve into the complete person you were intended to be." And chosen one, this is exactly what's happening. You are not evolving by effort, you are evolving by encounter, divine encounter. Your timeline is being kissed by eternal timing. The curtain is rising, the spotlight is hot, and the audience, both earthly and heavenly, is holding its breath. Let's talk about the people around you during this 3-day sequence. Chosen one. Not everyone in your vicinity deserves a role in your next chapter. Some people are simply extras present in the background, but irrelevant to the plot. They're not meant to stay. They're not meant to speak. They're just atmospheric, filling the frame without contributing to your destiny. Then there are the recurring characters, the ones who've stood by your side, who walked with you through fire, not for attention, but out of alignment. Honor them. These are covenant connections, not just companions. And then there are the divine introductions. These are new arrivals, sent not by coincidence, but by divine casting. They're showing up now because their role was never meant for the beginning. It was saved for the plot twist. So I ask you, will you recognize the new when it arrives, or will you reject it because it didn't come packaged in your expectations? Don't confuse the categories. Don't promote background noise to leading roles. And don't overlook someone simply because they show up late in the film. Remember, Ruth entered Naomi's story only after tragedy, but that divine encounter led to legacy. Ruth 1:16-17. God is still writing your connections with divine strategy. The people entering or exiting your life this week are not random. Watch closely. They are either holy answers or subtle distractions, and both are equally powerful depending on what you allow. You will be tempted during these days to overanalyze. You'll question the reality of it all. Is this really happening? Is this feeling valid? Let me be clear. Yes, it's happening. Yes, it's real. No, you're not imagining the shift in the atmosphere. What you're sensing isn't wishful thinking. It's divine stirring. The air feels different because the breath of God is moving across the timeline of your life. Suddenly, a sound like the blowing of a violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house. Acts 2:2. You're living in that kind of moment. Your ordinary schedule is being hijacked by extraordinary timing. Do not resist it. Don't try to domesticate the supernatural. Let it overwhelm you. Let it carry you. Even C.S. Lewis once said, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny, and you, chosen one, were never ordinary." These days are not revealing a new you, they're revealing the real you. You were never average. You were simply planted in a deep place, and while others mistook your stillness for death, heaven knew it was the root system growing. You were hidden, not rejected, delayed, not denied, all along. The silence wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The reason things went quiet was because the next line had to be heard clearly, and now you're hearing it. It's your time. The 9th of August will whisper the signs. The breeze will speak. The subtle nudges will tap your spirit. Conversations, repeated phrases, and symbolic cues will seem to follow you. But don't ask for confirmation, discern it. That's the first layer. On the 10th of August, expect proof, a divine appointment, a message that breaks your pattern, an answer you didn't expect so soon. And on the 31st of August, fruit, manifestation, tangible evidence, like Jesus turning water into wine at a wedding feast. The delay will suddenly make sense when the miracle tastes better than anything before. John 2:10. That's the divine storytelling arc signs. Proof. Fruit. Don't chase this. You don't need to force it. You don't need to beg for what already has your name on it. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. Lamentations 3:25. Just stay positioned. Be still in spirit, but alert in mind. Heaven is not responding to volume right now, it's responding to readiness. This moment is not for the loudest voice, but the most prepared heart. And chosen one, you've been prepared. The fire didn't consume you, it refined you. The silence didn't break you, it rebuilt you. The isolation didn't ruin you, it reintroduced you to who you really are. Think of how actor Brendan Fraser disappeared from the spotlight for over a decade. Many counted him out, but when his reappearance finally came, it wasn't loud, it was legendary. A standing ovation, tears, redemption. The power of that moment wasn't because of hype, but because of truth. Your next moment will carry the same weight. People will sense that you've returned not to impress, but to express what was forged in your darkest hours. The screen is ready now. The music has already started. The angels are leaning in. The cast around you has been arranged. Even your enemies are in their assigned seats. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Psalm 23:5. And now watch this. The light fades in. The scene quiets. The camera pans. And there you are, standing in full alignment with your purpose. This isn't a dream. This isn't fantasy. This is prophecy fulfilled in high definition. The next scene belongs to you. Will you walk into it with trembling knees or with boldness marked by grace? Will you recognize that the time you thought was lost has only sharpened your crown? Chosen one. Heaven never forgot your name. The final edit is complete. The soundtrack has been scored. The audience is watching. The director has spoken. Action. There comes a moment in every powerful film when the main character stops, simply reacting to the chaos around them, and starts realizing they were the center of the story all along. Chosen one. This is that moment for you. You are not just stumbling into a breakthrough. You are waking up inside a prophecy. The dates of the 9th of August, 10th, and 31st are not randomly significant. They are spiritually coded with revelation, infused with intention, and bathed in divine order. Every whisper, every delay, every divine interruption during these days has been pre-written by the hand of God. This isn't just about doors opening, it's about your true identity being unveiled. What if everything that felt like resistance was actually the setup for this exact unveiling? This moment isn't just about breakthrough, it's about becoming. For so long, you were hidden under layers of fear, of silence, of survival. But now, not only will the world begin to see what you carry, you will begin to see yourself clearly. Beloved, now we are children of God, and what we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when Christ appears, we shall be like him. 1 John 3:2. The mirror of your soul is clearing, and the reflection staring back is royalty. You didn't need to force your way into this moment. You didn't need to hustle, shout, or perform. In every great movie, the hero is not loved because of perfection, but because of perseverance. And you have persevered. You've walked through betrayals that would have shattered others. You've sat in rooms where your silence was mistaken for weakness. You've endured loneliness so deep it echoed, but you never stopped showing up. That divine endurance, forged in the shadows, is now being rewarded in the light. Remember Job, who after losing everything, was restored double for his trouble, not because he pleaded, but because he remained faithful. Job 42:10. That is your reward season. And yes, it's public, not for spectacle, but for testimony. On the 9th of August, heaven's camera began to pan in. Your name was being whispered in divine rooms. On the 10th of August, the lens zoomed tighter, framing you in clarity that even you couldn't deny. But the 11th of August, the spotlight turns on, and it's not a soft glow, it's a blinding blaze of glory. And what's extraordinary is this: the light isn't shining on you for show, it's shining through you for revelation. This isn't just so others can witness what God is doing, it's so you can finally see who God has always known you to be. You've only had glimpses of your strength. You've caught fleeting images of your power, but what's about to be revealed will leave you speechless. This is your unveiling. You're about to realize you were never small. You were never average. You were never behind. You were simply being refined, hidden for a holy moment. But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession. 1 Peter 2-9. You have been walking as royalty, with your head bowed in humility, not out of shame, but out of preparation. And now that the hour has come, God is lifting your head and placing the crown that was measured in silence. As this final day rises, things will begin to move without your effort. Conversations will begin that you didn't start. Doors will swing open with your name already spoken on the other side. Platforms will call for you, not because of marketing, but because of mantle. This is not ambition. It is manifestation. Your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. Proverbs 18:16. The things that once felt too big for you will now feel like they were custom built because they were. The weight of responsibility you once feared will now feel like a robe of honor. The very throne you once thought was reserved for someone else will now fit your spirit with ease. Think about how President Nelson Mandela emerged from nearly 3 decades of imprisonment, not bitter but better, not desperate but destined. He didn't push his way into legacy. He became it through endurance. That's the level of divine authority being placed on you. You're not walking into titles, you're walking into timing. And when it's your time, nothing feels forced. Everything flows. You've waited, you've wondered, you've even wept quietly, asking if this moment would ever come. And now, the silence has been broken. The script is in motion. The lights are hot. And your life is about to speak louder than any words you've ever had to say. Now, pay close attention to this next truth. Chosen one. The 11th of August will not just be a date, it will be a divine unveiling. What has been quietly at work behind the scenes of your life for years is finally stepping into the spotlight. Silent approvals you never knew you received. Unspoken favor that kept doors open even when you felt forgotten. Invisible protection that blocked attacks you didn't even see coming. All of it, yes. All of it will begin to take form in ways so tangible. It will make your spirit tremble. What was hidden in the spiritual realm is being translated into visible reality. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness. And light dwells with him. Daniel 2:22. The light is about to fall on the mysteries you've long carried in silence. And when it happens, people around you will say, "That's a miracle," but you'll know the truth. This isn't random. This isn't luck. This is the divine storyline finally reaching its public scene. The divine editor is no longer behind the curtain. He is putting your scene on full display. And it's not just about breakthrough. It's about validation. This is the moment when heaven confirms what your heart has always sensed but couldn't prove. You were chosen. You were covered. You were carried. But let's be honest, not everything that surfaces will be comfortable. Some revelations will shock you. Why? Because God isn't only promoting you, He's correcting the narrative. Anyone who twisted your truth will now face divine revision. Anyone who spoke over your story with false subtitles will see their edits erased. Heaven is not just uplifting you, it is clarifying you. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be brought to light. Luke 8:17. This isn't vindication by vengeance, it's vindication by truth, and the truth will speak louder than your silence ever could. You will see God rewrite scenes others tried to control. The people who once painted you as unstable, emotional, unworthy, they will now have to watch as heaven affirms you in front of the very audience they tried to turn against you. This is a season of truth. The era when the chosen no longer linger in the shadows as quiet, supporting roles, but emerge as the centerpieces of a divinely authored masterpiece. You are not the extra. You are not the subplot. You are the headline of this act. And the director is calling scene. Something deeply mysterious is also occurring in this 3-day window. Time itself is bending. What once looked like a 5-year climb is becoming a 3-day elevation. What you thought would take multiple seasons is being compressed into a prophetic moment. The script is being fast-tracked. You're no longer in the introduction. You're standing inside the plot twist. This is not normal speed. It's divine acceleration. And the beauty of it, there's no striving. It's acceleration without exhaustion. Promotion without explanation. That's what happens when prophecy catches up with preparation. Think of the story of Joseph. 1 minute he was in prison. The next, he was wearing royal robes and giving Pharaoh counsel. Genesis 41 to 41, 43. The transition was radical, but it wasn't rushed. It was right. When God moves, he doesn't follow time, he commands it. And chosen one, you are living inside that command right now. The universe is bending itself to accommodate your assignment. Heaven has scheduled a moment, and the moment is now. People will look at you and say, how did that happen so fast? But it's not speed, it's alignment. You're not just in the right place. You've become the right person. All the inner work, the tears, the surrender, the discipline. It didn't just prepare the path, it prepared you. And now the path is responding. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to bless all the work of your hands. Deuteronomy 28 to 12. That's the kind of blessing that makes logic stutter. You'll enter rooms where you've never been invited, but your name will already be on the guest list. People will extend favor and not know why. Rules will bend. Procedures will shift. Emails will be answered. Calls will come unexpectedly. And you'll realize it's not charm. It's not charisma. It's covenant. The anointing over your life has hit critical mass. And now, heaven is declaring, scene change. Insert, chosen one here. Think of Viola Davis once again. When she won her Academy Award, she said, I became an artist, and thank God I did, because we are the only profession that celebrates what it means to live a life. Likewise, your life is not just being celebrated, it's being used as living art. A prophetic film of what it means to endure, to rise, to be chosen in secret and revealed in glory. And now let's take a sacred moment to speak to your past. Chosen one, every moment that once embarrassed you, every so-called failure that left you gasping for breath, every time you were laughed at, misread, dismissed, or cast out. Watch what heaven does with it during these final days. What if I told you those weren't throwaway scenes? What if they were the most valuable footage? The 11th of August is the divine editor's hand revealing how every painful moment was always part of the masterpiece. The very wounds you once tried to hide will become the reasons people are drawn to your strength. The very moments they mocked will become the miracles they admire. He gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Isaiah 61 to 3. This is not just favor, it is full redemption. Every scar will be given glory. Every tear will be translated into testimony. Every season of silence will echo with divine validation. By the end of this 3-day spiritual sequence, You won't just feel different, you will be different. You'll walk with a boldness that doesn't need permission. You'll speak with authority that doesn't ask for validation. You'll stop apologizing for taking up space because you'll finally understand you were always the main character. You were never late. You were never overlooked. You were just timed. And now that your scene has been called, nothing can hold you back. You've seen the full script. You know the author. And you understand now that nothing, absolutely nothing, was wasted. And this is also the hour when the dreams you thought were symbolic begin to take form in waking life. Have you ever had a moment that made you stop and whisper, "Wait, I've seen this before"? You have, in a dream, in a vision, as a child, as a seeker. God was giving you the trailer of your destiny years ago, and now the full film is premiering in real time. That wasn't fantasy, that was foresight. In the last days, I will pour out my spirit. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. Joel 2:28. What you saw was not wishful thinking, it was your spirit, remembering what heaven had already written. Chosen. 1. Take a deep breath. Feel the weight in your chest. That's not anxiety. That's the weight of legacy. These are the kinds of days that shift bloodlines, that rewrite entire family narratives. This is not just your moment. This is your generation's door. What you do with these 3 days will ripple into decades. That's why heaven made it feel so intense. That's why the air feels thick with meaning. It's not stress, it's sacred pressure. And the fact that you're still standing proves that you're ready to hold it. This time, when destiny knocks, you won't flinch. You'll open the door like the authority you've always been. You don't need to defend yourself in this season. The results will be your response. You don't need to argue for your role. The light will do all the talking. God is now displaying His glory through your life, saying to every doubter and every demon, "Look what I can do with the one they ignored. Look how I crowned the one who kept believing, even when they had nothing but faith." Think of Jesus on the cross, mocked, humiliated, and seemingly defeated. But 3 days later, resurrection made the silence holy. And you, too, are walking into resurrection glory. This moment is rare. This timing is holy. You are not witnessing someone else's breakthrough. You are standing in your own. You are in the center of a divine premiere. The audience isn't just watching, you are the feature. You are not an extra in someone else's story. You are the star of this sacred scene. The credits haven't rolled yet, but heaven and earth are already leaning in. By now, you felt it in your spirit. The shift, the strange clarity, the goosebumps that appear with no reason, the sudden tears during simple moments, the dreams that return with fresh detail. Something has been activated, and it's not hype. This is not emotion. This is divine orchestration, unfolding right in front of you. It's been happening slowly, subtly, powerfully, and now it's becoming undeniable. The 9th of August. Sure. And 31 were never just calendar dates. They were a holy bridge connecting your hidden obedience to your loud reward. If your days have felt surreal lately, like you're walking in a dream with open eyes, that's not an accident. That's spiritual overlap. The supernatural and natural timelines are blurring, overlapping, intertwining. Divine, déjà vu, is heavy. Numbers repeat. Words echo. Conversations suddenly feel scripted, and you've begun to realize this is the feeling of prophecy being lived out. Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing His plan to His servants, the prophets. Amos 3-7. And you, chosen one, have been carrying this plan all along. You've lived one way for years, measured, careful, quiet. But now, reality bends in your favor. Doors open because your appointment has walked into the room. The sacred scene is finally here. A film is being projected through your life that no one expected to be this breathtaking. They thought your story was slow. They thought the plot was forgettable. But they never saw the hidden footnotes. They never read what God was scripting when the world went silent. Let's talk now about why the days from the 9th of August to 31st are so intensely potent. Chosen one. These aren't just dates of opportunity, they are dates of exposure. Divine exposure. And exposure is never comfortable, but it is always clarifying. What's being exposed is not just what's around you, but what's been working within and behind your story all along. This is the unveiling of hidden help, those supernatural forces, unseen alignments, and angelic interventions that sustained you when nobody else saw your struggle. But at the same time, it is the exposure of false support, the people who clapped in your face but cursed behind your back, the ones who wore masks of loyalty but were never assigned to your calling. The veil is lifting, the masks are coming off, and there's no stopping it. Because heaven's screenplay has reached the scene where the true characters must be revealed. This isn't a matter of choice anymore. People will begin to reveal who they truly are, not because they want to, but because the divine storyline demands it. The next act cannot afford counterfeits. You're moving into a scene of such strategic glory that only heaven-assigned individuals will be permitted to walk with you through it. Just like Gideon's army had to be reduced so that only the truly aligned would go into battle, your circle is being pruned so that your victory won't be shared with the unprepared. Judges 7-2-7. This is spiritual editing. The cast is being trimmed so the climax can play out untainted. That's why you've been feeling more emotional than usual. That's why you've had moments of wild anticipation, followed by long silences. Your soul knows. Your spirit senses it, deep down. You recognize that you're not just approaching a breakthrough, you're being written into the climax of your destiny. This is the sacred scene where the long misunderstood hero finally becomes visible, not loud, not arrogant, just seen, just recognized for what they've always carried. Here's the miraculous part. Chosen one. While you were thinking the world had forgotten you, heaven was backstage, designing the set. While you were questioning if your voice mattered, a prophetic spotlight was being positioned with your name on it. And when it turns on, when it blazes down on you, it will not be because of your connections, your hustle, or your charisma. It will be because God said, "Now, humble yourselves." Therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5-6. This is that time, that due time, the moment when heaven interrupts obscurity and commands visibility. What's about to happen cannot be manufactured. It cannot be replicated by talent or networking. It is not political. It is not promotional. It is prophetic. It will carry the mark of the miraculous, the signature of the Spirit. You'll be in rooms you didn't ask to enter. You'll speak in conversations that begin casually, but shift into divine confirmations. A comment you almost didn't say will break chains. A prayer you whispered in secret will suddenly be echoed in public. People who never respected your voice will suddenly be pierced by it, not because you raised your volume, but because heaven raised your vibration. You are no longer just an actor in the divine film. You are now a mouthpiece. Your words are becoming weapons. Your sentences carry the electricity of someone who has walked through fire and emerged as gold. The words I have spoken to you, they are full of the Spirit and life. John 6-63. That's your mouth now, full of Spirit, full of life, full of revelation. You're not just talking anymore. You're declaring. You're not just participating in the moment. You're activating it. And chosen one, don't be surprised when the energy around you begins to shift sharply. Some people will suddenly avoid you. Some will pull back. Some will leave quietly, without closure, without a reason. Let them. That's not rejection, it's refinement. Not everyone can stay in the theater when the real scene begins. Some were only meant to be part of the trailer. Their role is done. Their lines have been delivered. Their exit is not a punishment, it's preparation. They went out from us, but they did not really belong to us. 1 John 2:19. And God is rearranging the audience so that those who are assigned can witness the unveiling properly. Think of the story of Jonathan Majors, a gifted actor who spent years in obscurity before suddenly landing a role that launched him into the mainstream. The world thought he was new, but he wasn't new. He was revealed, just like you. Your emergence may feel sudden to others, but it's been years in the making. You're not new to this. You're chosen for this. Now, chosen one. Let's take a deeper dive into the emotional transformation that has quietly been unfolding within you. This isn't just a change of mindset, it's an internal resurrection. You've battled the beast of unworthiness like it lived in your shadow. For years, you walked through internal valleys where self-doubt echoed louder than your most vivid dreams. You looked in the mirror and questioned whether you were enough, whether you truly carried anything of value. But these final 3 days, the 9th of August, 10th, and 31st, are not just a spiritual highlight reel. They are your emotional deliverance. You are stepping out of the cage of self-rejection and finally standing in the light of self-recognition. And hear me, this is not ego, it's enlightenment. This isn't pride, it's prophetic perspective. You're not becoming someone new. You're finally meeting the version of yourself heaven always saw. The version that was hidden by pain, masked by performance, buried beneath people-pleasing. But now the scales are falling off. The fog is clearing. You will start to speak with more certainty, walk with more clarity, and carry yourself with a weight you can't quite explain. That's the supernatural confidence of divine alignment. The righteous are as bold as a lion, Proverbs 28:1, and that lion is roaring inside you now, because once you realize that your footsteps are ordered, your silence was strategic, and your presence was heaven-sent, you stop shrinking, you stop justifying your space, you start walking in power. You will no longer force yourself to fit into conversations, relationships, or environments that were never built to hold the magnitude of your calling. You won't need to explain your worth. You'll simply embody it. You'll feel the shift in your energy, and so will everyone around you. By the 11th of August, your spiritual frequency will rise so high that it becomes magnetic. You will start attracting divine appointments, prophetic confirmations, financial favor, and irreversible breakthroughs simply by standing in alignment, and you won't have to manipulate it, overthink it, or chase it. What is yours will recognize you and walk straight toward you, as if it's been rehearsing your name this whole time, because it has. This is the season when even those who misunderstood you will be forced to see the truth. The people who called you strange, antisocial, overly spiritual, or too much will realize they weren't watching your breakdown. They were witnessing your becoming. What they thought was isolation was actually incubation. What they misread as avoidance was actually alignment. What they assumed was failure was divine formation. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, Psalm 23:5. And now, chosen one. That table is being set. Your enemies are not being punished, They're being invited to witness your coronation. Let them watch. Their presence is required. And let us not forget, this transformation is not just internal. Provision is on the way. The 11th of August is carrying with it divine surprises, unexpected financial deposits, debt cancellations, opportunities disguised as coincidences, old resources suddenly released. This isn't prosperity driven by ego, it's provision aligned with purpose. You cannot walk into a lead role with empty hands. God is funding the assignment now, and my God will supply all your needs according to his riches in glory in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:19. You didn't beg for it. You obeyed for it. You didn't manipulate it. You matured into it. And now, supernatural resources are being attached to your role. Get ready for what some call strange money. Get ready for favor that feels irrational, for divine generosity that cannot be explained by market logic. You'll open your inbox or your bank app or your front door and encounter surprises that were hidden until the precise moment you were ready. Not when you were desperate, when you were prepared. Because heaven doesn't cast chosen ones into a scene without giving them the costume, the lines, and the stage to carry it. This financial shift will feel sudden, but it's not sudden to God. It's right on cue. And finally understand this with all the gravity it carries. These 3 days are not just emotional, spiritual, or financial turning points. They are a divine convergence. The moment in every great film where the hero suddenly realizes that every trial, every heartbreak, every detour was leading to this single scene. You did not survive all that pain just to keep walking in circles. You endured the darkness to carry the light. You were chosen to stand in this moment because you are the turning point. You are the prophetic signpost. You are the shift that generations before you prayed would come. So, inhale, exhale. Do you feel that? That's not anxiety. That's spiritual weight. That's destiny resting on your shoulders. That's the crown of responsibility settling into place. Your light isn't just shining, it's guiding. Your story isn't just personal, it's prophetic. Your breakthrough isn't just blessing, it's blueprint. And as the curtain continues to rise, something unexplainable, something holy, is descending from heaven to meet you. He who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. Philippians 1-6. This is the completion. This is the release. The 9th of August. Shu and 31 were never random. They are coordinates on heaven's map. Dates marked with fire, chosen to activate ancient promises embedded in your spirit. And now that you've stepped this far in, you cannot go back to normal, because what comes next is legacy. What follows this moment is not just a miracle, it's a movement. What's unfolding through you now isn't just about your name, it's about healing the storylines of your bloodline. Let's take a step even deeper. Chosen one. Into what the 31st of August truly represents, divine reversal. This isn't just another spiritual checkpoint, it's a supernatural turning point. It is the day the script flips and heaven shifts everything in your favor. It's the day the back row is called to the front. It's the day the invisible becomes undeniable. The day the rejected are publicly recognized. It's the moment the storyline that seemed stuck in sorrow begins to sing with restoration. Everything, yes, everything that was stolen from you, whether it was time, peace, finances, joy, reputation, or honor, is now being returned with interest, not as compensation, as confirmation. I will restore to you the years that the swarming locusts have eaten. Joel 2:25. And that restoration isn't theoretical anymore. It's happening now. But here's the mystery. What's coming back will not resemble what was taken. No. Heaven doesn't simply return what was lost, it upgrades it. You cried over what was taken, but God smiled over what was being prepared. You lost things in the fire. But the fire wasn't just destruction, it was refinement. The new blessings coming are forged in glory, saturated in purpose, dripping with divine strategy. This is where vindication begins. Not the petty kind, not ego-driven revenge, but holy vindication, proof that you belonged to God the whole time, that your suffering had a script, that your patience wasn't pointless. For your shame you shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Isaiah 61:7. This is not a suggestion, it is a divine decree. Your name has been highlighted in heaven's delivery log. The reversal is in motion. What once embarrassed you, those mistakes, those misunderstandings, those quiet moments of shame, will now become sources of empowerment. The parts of your story you once tried to hide will now be the very parts that release power when spoken. The things that left you speechless in pain will now cause you to lift your voice in praise, because you'll realize none of it was wasted. Not the tears, not the silence, not the years you felt forgotten. All of it was being preserved, matured, and prepared for this revelation. This isn't just restoration, this is revelation. The world is about to see what God always knew, that you were chosen all along. And now, chosen one. We must speak of legacy, because this moment, these 3 days are not just about your healing. They're not just about a financial blessing or spiritual encouragement. They are about generational shift. God is not just blessing you, He is replanting your entire bloodline. But from everlasting to everlasting, the Lord's love is with those who fear Him, and His righteousness with their children's children. Psalm 103:17. Your obedience, your endurance, your spiritual sensitivity, these have made you the point of transition. You are not just receiving a blessing, you are becoming the seed of a new era. What fractured others in your lineage will find no footing in your life. What destroyed their marriages, their finances, their faith ends with you. What was passed down as pain is now rerouted into promise. Generational curses are being rewritten as generational covenants. You are not simply continuing the story, you are interrupting it. You are the plot twist. You are the chapter heaven inserted to say, and then everything changed. Think of Sarah Breedlove, known to the world as Madam C. J. Walker, born to parents who had been enslaved, orphaned by 7, and widowed by 20. She could have repeated the cycle of defeat. Instead, she became America's first female self-made millionaire. She didn't just build wealth, she built legacy. Her story wasn't an echo of what came before, it was a reversal. And yours is the same. You are the break in the pattern. You are the hinge in the timeline. You are the answer to generations of questions and the fulfillment of decades of prayers. So don't downplay what you're sensing. That electricity in the air, that fire in your belly, that pull on your heart to walk away from some things and step into others. It's all part of the shift. This is a generational convergence. The 9th of August. Sure. And 31 were marked not just for you, but for those who will come after you. What you do in this sequence will echo across lifetimes. That's why the warfare was intense. That's why the resistance nearly made you retreat. Because hell knew what heaven had scheduled. But it's too late now. You showed up. And now God is showing out. The 31st of August is not just the conclusion, it is the divine confirmation. The heavens are declaring, you passed the test. You held the line. Now comes the reversal. And you will not return to normal after this. You will not go back to fitting in. You will not lower your voice. You were not born to repeat cycles. You were born to end them. So walk boldly into this final day. Chosen one, carry your head high. Let your spirit sing. Let your words declare what your heart already knows. This is not the end of the movie. This is the moment everything that came before begins to make sense. Because what's coming now is not just blessing, it's legacy fulfilled. Beloved, if you've made it this far, then you already know this wasn't just a message. This was a divine mirror held up to your soul, showing you the magnitude of who you are, what you carry, and where you're going. You may have thought this spiritual movie was only about your rise, but now God is revealing the next layer. Your life is becoming a pathway for others. Your journey, your wounds, your survival. They were never just personal battles. They were blueprints for breakthrough. Your children, your lineage, your spiritual legacy, they will inherit clarity because you walked through confusion. They will experience peace because you stood still in storms. They will know abundance because you broke the curse of lack. That's the beauty of divine legacy. And now, chosen one, you are strong enough to carry it. The final hours of this 3-day sequence are vibrating with divine energy so intense, so holy, that you may feel overwhelmed, even breathless, and that's okay. That's the energy of prophetic fulfillment rushing into place. That's the sensation of time itself bending to honor your obedience. The pace has quickened because you've proven trustworthy. The script is accelerating because the prophecy is active. The world may still be catching up, but heaven has already fast-forwarded your destiny. You're not behind, you're being launched. And the best part, you don't have to chase it. You don't have to hustle to make it happen. You don't need to convince anyone or prove your worth. You just have to stay surrendered. Let God continue to write. Let heaven continue to align. Let the Spirit continue to lead. Because your role in this divine production is secure, and the credits won't roll until legacy is fulfilled. Before we go, I want to say this from the depths of my heart. Thank you for walking with me through this sacred revelation. Your presence here is not just seen, it is felt. To everyone who has chosen to support this prophetic work through the Super Thanks feature, your generosity is deeply appreciated. Your giving helps keep this message flowing into the lives of thousands across the world. And if you haven't given, please know your presence alone is a blessing, whether you sow financially or spiritually. You are part of this movement, and I honor you. Thank you for being a faithful witness, a chosen vessel, and a torchbearer of truth in this hour. If this message confirmed something in your spirit, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's walking through their own sacred scene. And if you feel led, leave a comment below and let the world know. I am walking into legacy. That declaration carries power. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob bless you abundantly in the coming days. May your steps be ordered, your hands be filled, your name be honored, and your legacy be sealed. May every moment you surrendered in secret be rewarded in public. May every tear be turned into oil. And may the scenes that unfold next be more glorious than you ever imagined. This isn't the end, chosen one. It's the beginning of your legacy's unveiling. God bless you. Heaven is applauding, and your scene is still unfolding.